In this video, we're going to be comparing the Blackland razor's Vector to the Yaqi Raster razor, and Stirling Week continues with Compania. Stay tuned. Hey there folks, and welcome back for another video. I'm your host CDB. Thanks so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. I have a lot to get to today, so if it goes a little long, please forgive me. As mentioned before, today we're going to be comparing the Yaqi Raster razor with the Blackland Vector, so you're going to want to see that. And we are using Compania. Once again, this is Stirling Week, and I would be remiss if I didn't use this really beautiful soap. This is a great quality soap. I have a tremendous lather whipped up. The scent is amazing. This is based on Acqua di Parma Fico di Amalfi. And how do I know it smells like it? Because I have the fragrance right there. And it is a beautiful, beautiful fragrance in a beautiful bottle. And this is why I asked Rod to make it to begin with. Beautiful fragrance. And this, they nailed it. They nailed it. Really wonderful scent on it. I'll show you the notes right there if you're curious. Just beautiful scent, hits right at that medium level. The price on this is awesome, as you know. $13.75 for 5.8 ounces. That is an exceptional price on our cost chart. This is a tallow-based soap. There's a look at the pore. This one is fairly soft, presumably because it's newer. Sometimes the soaps will sort of firm up as they lose moisture, but this is an amazing scent. I'm so glad Rod and Mandy made it at my request. Really amazing. Okay, let's get into the razors today. Tail of the tape, as it were. We have the Yaqi Raster razor right here, which is made in China. You have the Blackland Vector made here in the United States. Now, this is the version 2. They're already on a version 3. Between the time I bought this and now, they're now on a version 3. And this is the Blackland Vector. In terms of cost, the Blackland Vector, $200. The Yaqi was about $37.50 to my door. The Yaqi head is made of zinc alloy or pot metal, and then it has a brass handle. The Blackland Vector is all stainless steel, so very, very durable metal here. Of course, this one again made in USA, this one made in China. The Yaqi lists the aggression of 6 to 7 out of 10. And the Blackland Vector listed at 5 out of 10. I think the Vector is more like 7 out of 10 as well. So, but we'll use them each on one side of the face and see how they shave. And both of them will provide for a nice shave. I already know that. But we'll raise some questions when we use these two and compare them. In the hand, they both feel good, honestly. Both feel very, very nice, slender, sleek. The Vector head is certainly slimmer than the Yaqi, and it feels slightly more maneuverable, but both are good shavers. That I can tell you before we even get started. Okay, so let's get into it, and we're going to mist today. By the way, a couple of announcements before we get too far into it, and this is just plain water. All the information, all the products, everything I use is linked below. I'm going to show you a screenshot there. So beneath the video, there will always be the information, links to the products, my social media information. All you have to do is hit like an arrow that says down or show more or something like that. All that information is always there for you, my contact information, social media. So please make sure to take advantage of that. And I also want to mention in my Stirling giveaway, so we kicked off Stirling the other day, Rod and Mandy from Stirling have also added a Stirling dot kit. We'll show you the picture of it right there, leather and canvas, to that giveaway. So I will link that giveaway below for you as well. Make sure you watch that video and do what it says to enter that giveaway. Thank you, Rod and Mandy at Stirling. Okay, let's get into it now. Today I'm using the APShaveco. This is their handcrafted series, sort of a butterscotch color with the cashmere fan knot. And look at that beautiful lather. I gotta say, every time I lather Stirling, it's beautiful. It's easy, it's not finicky. It really hits the mark for me. And I really enjoy using it. I never have any problems making a lather with Stirling. And I hope you can see how hydrated that lather is. It's one of those things where a lot of times in this hobby we have price biases both ways. In other words, people have a tendency to think things that are well priced or budget friendly are of poor quality, and we're often wrong. And also, sometimes we have a price bias against things that are more costly, and we think maybe we don't get what we're paying for. But there's some other considerations that you have to think about in both cases, I think. and we try to be fair about that. But honestly, I love budget-friendly products because, I buy a lot of stuff. So my mileage, I get more mileage out of budget-friendly products. But are there questions we should be asking also, especially in the case of these two razors today? And I wanted to say, we will have Shane from Blackland, who makes the Blackland Vector, on Real Talk. I'll show you the slide this coming Friday. So if you want to sound off on this topic, I'm sure during the show would be a good time. If you really love the budget-friendly products, or maybe the Raster, or maybe you love Blackland and you just want to show your support there. If you want to enter sort of that debate, come to the show, make your comments, during the show, and we'll certainly recognize those comments as time permits. Keep in mind, we're having a conversation, so it's hard to see every comment someone makes, but if you feel passionately about the issue, come and make a comment or hit that question button on the Instagram Live and ask a question of Shane, if you please. And also you can submit your question down here on this video and I will add it to the list. Okay, so we're going to use the Yaqi Raster on this side, and it has a brand new Feather Professional Artist Club style blade. I did use this once already, and I did get a good shave out of it. In terms of the shave, it was very nice. In terms of fit and finish, not great, definitely adequate. There are no fit and finish issues on this razor that would affect the shave. But when you look at it relative to the Blackbird, they're certainly not in the same realm, and nor would they be, considering that one is, $200 and one is, under 40. But when people say it's unfair to compare the two, keep in mind, this Raster razor would not be around if not for the Blackbird. So if you're going to take inspiration or copy a lot of the design, you're going to be compared. I mean, come on. It's not fair to mention this razor without mentioning the Vector, because clearly this razor would not be around if not for the Vector. I think that's a very reasonable position. And I want to be very clear about something. I'm not seeking to influence you one way or the other on these things, because here I am using both of these razors. But I do want to air some points, for your consideration. So that side felt great. And this feels great also. What I think I'm feeling, and I think you can reasonably expect this, is the Vector feels a little more smooth. It feels a little more refined, and I think that makes perfect sense that it would. By the way, that place there has been there for a while, and it's stubborn to go away. The Vector here just feels a little smoother. Brand new blades in each. Feather Artist Club Professionals. Smoother shaver here. I can tell you that right now. Now, does that mean better? No, not necessarily, but I could just feel, you could feel a difference in refinement, and you would expect that. If you didn't feel a difference in refinement, or you couldn't see a difference in refinement in the machining, that would be a problem for the Vector, because it is much more expensive. But I think the thing you have to consider when you're buying razor like the Vector that's made here in the US, the labor standards in our countries, China versus United States, are very, very different. We have protections for the workers. We have all sorts of things that increase the cost. And that's just the way it is. So you're going to have a much higher cost typically on something that's made in the United States, across the board almost, than in China. That's not to say that there's anything wrong with buying the Raster if you please, but we will definitely get into conversations on Real Talk this Friday. And I think Shane will give his position as the sort of innovator of this style of razor, which Blackland is, using the very, very slim head. Because the Artist Club style razors before the Vector were chunky, in the head relative to the Vector. The Vector is the innovator of this very slim design and that square post for the purpose of shaving. And I think he will air some points on why it's important to support innovators versus companies that, you know, are using inspired designs. Now, that said, I believe there's a place for both. The question is, at what point, you know, does it hurt the innovator? And those are questions only people like Shane can answer. But I've also heard a flip side of that, in that I bought the Raster, excuse me, and I liked it. So now I'm going to buy the Black Vector. And that's a fair point also. They sort of wanted to try that style of razor for low cost, and then buy the more expensive, more refined Vector. So fair points all around, which again, I don't want to get into them too much today, but you can see here we have plenty of lather with the Stirling. Beautiful, beautiful soap. And the scent on this is right on. And again, the reason I know is because I already showed you, I have the fragrance there. So keep that in mind. I'm not just winging it off of what I think it's supposed to smell like. I'm actually comparing the two. So again, as I mentioned, last time I used Compania, I did see a gentleman, I don't want to mention his name because I didn't ask for permission, but I saw a gentleman in one of the forums that said basically Stirling soaps, he didn't want to try the Stirling soaps because he thought they come off smelling cheap. It does not come off smelling cheap. I have the original, and I'm smelling them, you know, spraying them and then smelling it, and it smells, they did a great job on it. But when you're doing inspired scents, you know, different companies do different sort of inspired scents, and they get their fragrance oils from different places, so they may come off differently. But on Compania, Stirling has done an excellent job. Okay, pass number 2 with the Raster. And again, good shaver. Plenty efficient. You see we're blooping there with that good hydrated lather, which is awesome. Really no problems with this razor, but you're sort of getting what you're paid for in terms of fit and finish. It's just okay. But again, it's not going to affect the shave. So if you're just talking about the shave, I can tell you already within that first pass, the Vector definitely feels more refined, a little bit smoother when I'm using it side by side. But the Raster here is still a decent shaver. I mean, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. So if you're one of those folks who say, you know, this is all I can afford and it's what I love, there's no problem with that. I'm not criticizing you. Because it's doing a good job, don't get me wrong. But when I use this one, it's like, I know, it feels like if you've ever used a squeegee on glass, that really smooth, it's gliding sort of like a squeegee on glass when it's removing the whisker. And it's cutting efficiently, but it does feel more smooth and more refined. And again, you would expect that. If it didn't, there would be a problem. So of the two, I don't think it's a surprise that I prefer the Vector in terms of even the shave. The Vector is providing for a smoother shave. However, the other side's not bad. So don't want to lead anyone to believe the other side is not bad or that you're going to get a poor shave out of it. Because if yours is in good condition and everything's lined up the way it's supposed to be, it should deliver a good shave for you. And mine is. But I can definitely feel a difference. Just feels a little more smooth. And I guess, again, I think there'd probably be an expectation for that, for the money that you're paying. All right, let's get into our third pass here with the Compania. It is Stirling week, by the way, so if you're not using your Stirling, jump in there. Use your Stirling, give us a tag, and again, all my information will be below. Links to the videos, links to lathering tutorials, links to the products I'm using today. All that is there for you. It takes a good while to put that material together, and that's why I'm mentioning it. And also, if you haven't subscribed and you appreciate the content, please hit that subscribe button. I would appreciate that very much. I am an evangelist of wet shaving, and the more people who see these and share them and get other people involved, the better. So thank you very much. I really appreciate all your support and all the folks who come by here day after day and watch this content. It really means a lot to me, and that is not lip service. We're going to try to speed this final pass up just a little bit so we can keep the video time down. We don't want to make it too long because I realize that you all have done a lot in watching the amount of videos that I put out, so I'm just going to leave it right there and not spend too much time trying to paint that even, because really it's not necessary. Not necessary at all. This is going to be plenty slick, great quality, smelling great. The Stirling product is fantastic. It's one of those products that punches well above its weight for its cost. It is one of those products that sort of defies that you get what you pay for rule, or sort of philosophy. And that philosophy is, you know, the more you pay, the better product you get. And in some cases that is true. In other cases, you know, not so much. And of course there is the law of diminishing returns, which, you know, you can Google that if you please. And that does come into play as well. But the Raster here, they were sold out. I will link the version 3. This is version 2. It is a good shaver. There's no doubt about it. But we'll get into all the ethics and we'll get into all that on Real Talk. So I hope you'll join us. And if you can't catch it on Real Talk, hopefully you can catch the replay because I'll put it here on the channel. All right, that side was fantastic. Really no complaints. But there's no question, when I come to this side after using the Raster, the vector is smoother and more refined. That's really the major difference in terms of the actual shave. You could just tell this one is the machining and the effort that went into it. You know, you can just tell it's more refined. Bottom line, more refined, more durable metal, almost assuredly. Also, more cost. I mean, there's no way to get around that. But in this case, it's one of those where, having used them side by side, definitely the vector wins all day, every day, without question. Doesn't mean the Raster doesn't have a place, nor that it's a bad shaver, but the vector remains the king of artist club style safety razors. Nothing, in my opinion, comes close, based on my preference. It's just no buyer's remorse. From my perspective, as a lifetime piece, I've never had anything like it in terms of an artist club style razor, and it is worth the money for me. May not be for you. I understand that. All right, that was excellent. I tell you what, that was a fun shave. Let me rinse. We'll come back and get into the post. Stay tuned. And all right, we are back off cam. We did a warm water rinse, and then we followed that with the alum, no stinging. So that was a super smooth shave. Followed that with a cold water rinse, then toweled off with our Lancaster towel prior to using the Stirling Witch Hazel. I got to say today, both of these, that one came loose a little bit. Both of these are really nice shavers. They produce a similar shave in terms of aggression. In terms of being smooth, the Vector was the clear winner. Fit and finish, clear winner. Vector overall is the clear winner. However, the Raster, it's a good shaver. You cannot argue that. It's a good shaver. It did a great job. We used our APShaveco brush and, of course, our Compania from Stirling Soap. It's Stirling Week. Don't forget the giveaway, and we're going to close it out today with the Stirling Compania aftershave, and I hope you all have a great day. Don't forget to enter that giveaway. Until next time, I've been your host, CDB, reminding you, it's your shave, do it your way, and as always, God bless.